With confirmation coming yesterday from what we've all kind of expected, with Andre Drummond now expected to leave the Bulls in free agency, we're going to take a look at what replacing Andre Drummond and his production could look like next season. We're also going to get into a potential trade with the Pistons per Sam Smith, and we're going to look at Lonzo Ball dunking yet again, but why? Shouldn't believe too much into it. All that plus a little bit of the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And so we had the breaking news yesterday. This one came from Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times. Take that with a grain of salt, that Andre Drummond is expected to leave in free agency. Now, this was kind of already expected. Hearing it from Joe Cowley kind of just reaffirms kind of already what the tea leaves were telling us with Andre Drummond, a player who's played on the vet minimum for the last 4 or 5 years of his career after being a player that signed over a $100 million contract, but that's now left to say, what do the Bulls do to realistically replace Andre Drummond? Common thought is from a lot of Bulls fans is you, of course, want to explore the draft. You have a 11th overall pick, tons of center prospects in this draft. And, with that said, let's look at some of those center prospects. Of course, we heard the rumors that the Bulls could be looking to move up to draft Donovan Clingan, who's expected to go kind of in the top 5 of that draft. Don't know if that's the best allocation of assets considering this draft and how you can still get really good talent later on in this draft. But if the Bulls do see Donovan Clingan as their guy, maybe that would make some sense for Donovan Clingan for the Bulls to move up. And not only is Donovan Clingan going to replace Andre Drummond, at least in his first year, he's, of course, then projected to be the long-term starter for the Chicago Bulls. I don't think he passes up Nikola Vucevic. I think kind of either way, we're looking at Vooch being the starting center for the Chicago Bulls next year. I know a lot of Bulls fans aren't going to like to hear that, but I think that's what it comes down to. Clingan, 20 years old. He's 7'1" with that 7'7" wingspan. The only player that measured taller and with a larger wingspan than him is Zach Edey. But it would make some sense for Donovan Clingan if the Bulls truly are looking to move up to trade him, if they can get him. Now, that's trading up, right? And we know giving up assets usually is what it takes to trade up. And while I have my favorite prospects in this draft, the next guy that we talk about is going to be one of those guys. That's Kel'el Ware. And I truly think and believe with no doubt in my mind that Kel'el Ware probably is going to be the best center to come out this draft. I think he has the highest upside. I think somebody like not Zach Edey, who God knows Zach Edey. I think somebody like Donovan Clingan has one of the highest floors. So I think at the minimum, Donovan Clingan is going to turn into a solid starter at the NBA level. But I think Kel'el Ware has some of the highest potential of anybody in this draft period. Just turning 20 years old, basically 7 foot. He measured at 6'11.8. He's basically a 7-footer with a 7'4" wingspan. Listen, this is a guy who brings everything you want as a modern center except the passing. Not a good passer at all at this point. Doesn't really project to be kind of one of those point forward type centers or anything like that. But athleticism out the wazoo, the shot blocking, the athletic blocks that he gets, the weak side blocks that he gets, the chase down blocks that he gets. He's an absolute threat to catch the lob, which we've seen it a lot. Like when you have a lob threat, especially off a pick and roll, not even in just fast breaks, brings that. He's also somebody who finishes really well in scoring on the interior. And let's not forget, he's also a 42% three-point shooter. He doesn't take a whole hell of a lot of them, but there's enough there to believe that he is going to be able, if he's left open, if he's the trailer, to be able to reliably hit a three-point shot. Averaging over 2 blocks per game, averaging almost 10 rebounds per game. This is a guy who brings a combination of offensive skill set, offensive potential, a pick and roll defender, can guard multiple positions, all these type of things. The one knock on him, of course, was the motor, and it seems like those motor concerns have completely gone away. So, with private workouts. So, Kel'el Ware is somebody who's super high on my board when it comes down to it, but he's just not a solid passer. But considering we got Kobe, Ayo as guards, I'm not really worried about him doing too much of the ball handling or playmaking or anything like that. We're going to have people to play make for him. But again, this is a guy who has that upside of everything that you want, and we'll see what he brings as well. But Kel'el Ware is one of my favorite guys potentially, and it's somebody who I'm not as a fan of, but I mean, listen, let's be clear here. Zach Edey has worked himself up draft boards. A lot of people say that it is due to the weaker draft. Shades of Zubac, and take that for what you will. I don't necessarily want to take that at number 11. With that said, though, the Bulls could definitely look at it. You look at what Zach Edey brought. 22 years old, 7'4", with a 7'10" wingspan. Like, come on now. We just talked about it. 25 points per game, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 2.2 blocks. I don't think he projects as this great NBA player. Some people do. I don't believe it. He's probably one of my least favorite guys in this draft, but real recognize real. He's worked himself up. And the IQ part, you cannot, no matter what you say about Zach Edey's physicality, his what he projects to be, one thing you can't take away from him is that basketball mind and IQ. He has that wholeheartedly, hugely in that. Another center that the Bulls could do that I do think would replicate a lot of what Andre Drummond did, even with the minutes played, right, is Yves Missi. This is another guy who a lot of people do like. Shot blocking, rim protection, a lob threat, the rebounding, the hustle that he does bring. Now, there's some concerns over the fact that he didn't play a whole hell of a lot of minutes. The people look at that 5.6 rebound number, but keep in mind, he didn't play a whole hell of a lot of minutes. But when he's on the floor, Yves Missi gets 17% of all rebounds when he's on the court. That's a huge number. So you project that with more minutes, he would easily get double-digit rebound assists. But that question is how much of that minutes, the lack of minutes that he played, how much of a concern is that for you? He's not really a passer in it. He's not a good free throw shooter at all. So there's that. But that conditioning concern is a big one. But if you're looking at him and to draft him as a backup center, then it's not too much there. But I kind of think that the Bulls, if they're going to draft a center, they're not drafting for a backup. Because we'll talk about that here in a minute. But those are guys that I do think definitely the Bulls could look at. Tyler Smith's another one, but Tyler Smith's going much later in the draft, according to most mocks now, but he is another guy that the Bulls could look at. And then another one of my favorite guys, Kyle Filipowski. I love Kyle Filipowski's game. He could be a center that the Bulls draft as well in this upcoming draft. Ball handling, three-point shooting. He increased his shot blocking last year. There's some, of course, athleticism concerns when it comes down to Kyle Filipowski, but I like Filipowski a lot as well. He's almost fallen to the second round in some mocks, which is concerning because this late in the game, if somebody's falling that much, there may be some things that people are seeing in private workouts, which as like Khalil Ware in private workouts has really overcome a lot of his initial doubt and concern. Maybe Kyle Filipowski is actually bringing up new concerns, which is contributing to him drafting. But don't overlook some teams kind of also playing coy. And as these articles and mock drafts get their information, could be because teams are kind of playing coy because they don't want somebody to get their guy, especially in a draft where people can go all over the place. So that's kind of the thought process on some draftees that could replace him. But and then, of course, we got somebody internally. Adama Sanogo is somebody who, I haven't talked a whole hell of a lot about this offseason. I've seen some crazy things where people say, well, he's better than any center. He's not. But what Adama Sanogo could do very well is play backup center. And I do think there's something to be said that if the Bulls do go wing, if they do go power forward, if they do go another position in this upcoming draft, there's a lot of reason to think that Adama Sanogo could be ready to step in and at least play backup center. You look at what he did in the G League, 30 minutes played per game, so it's not like the conditioning concerns are there. He averaged 22 points per game in that time with the Windy City Bulls, over 29 games played last season as well. Started 28 games, 12 rebounds per game, 1.4 assists per game, over 1 block per game, almost a steal per game. Adama Sanogo theoretically brings a lot. He's not nearly as athletic as what Andre Drummond is. I don't think he's nearly as switchable as what Andre Drummond is. But when you look at how many minutes we played Andre Drummond last season, which I think was a little bit over 16 minutes per game, with that said, there is a lot of reason to think that if the Bulls are saying, hey, we're going to go best player available, we're going to get a wing, we're going to get a guard, not necessarily saying that's what I would want to see the Bulls do, but there's a lot of reason to think that Adama Sanogo could be somebody who can step in and play backup center while maybe the Bulls kick the can down the road and try to find their long-term starting center somewhere else. So those are really the kind of best case options right now to replace Andre Drummond, but we'll see. I mean, you could get a far ahead. Like I said, things could drastically change with the Bulls. If the Bulls do find a taker for Vooch without giving up future draft assets and they can dump his contract or something, maybe they look to keep Drummond, get a young center, and then Drummond's the starter until that young center is ready to take over or whatever. We'll see. There's a lot of different things that could happen with the Bulls this offseason. one of those things coming from Sam Smith yesterday in his mailbag, or earlier in the week, and he talked about a potential trade with the Detroit Pistons and Zach LaVine to move up to number 5. This is something that we keep hearing the Pistons being listed as a potential trade partner. Now, Sam Smith mentions in this article the fact that they could be looking for a scorer. Again, something I've said, that they aren't really players out in free agency, so you don't really have to worry about that. They could be looking for a veteran to actually add to their young players rather than go completely young. How much do I believe or think that that's the route that the Pistons could go? I mean, there's some thought for it, right? There's some doubt for me as well, because, I mean, the Pistons, either way, if you add Zach LaVine, is that really changing your win total that much if you're looking at it as the Detroit Pistons? Or do you want to see your young players really grow and excel? But, if they do look at Zach LaVine and say, hey, we aren't going to be able to sign a player like Zach LaVine in free agency. Listen, we're a young team. We're a rebuilding team. Let's go ahead and maybe give that up to bring in a veteran, I guess. But at the same time, if you're a young rebuilding team, wouldn't you want to draft somebody 5th overall that could maybe even has the potential to be more, right? It's kind of two minds. And I like to always look at things not only in how they benefit the Bulls, but the perspective of the other team as well, because that plays a part into it, right? We can make one-sided trades all day long, but you start getting into more of the weeds and the nitty-gritty when you start looking at how does this serve both teams. And so, it's not somebody who I'm in extremely entrenched in what the Detroit Pistons kind of goals are. I don't even know if the Detroit Pistons really know, with the new GM coming in, things like that, that really could change it. But, if there is, and there's a mock trade that was given, it was Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso to the Detroit Pistons for the number 5th pick. That way the Bulls are keeping 5 and 11. That type of trade would be crazy. The Pistons would be adding great veteran depth. I don't know if Alex Caruso re-signs there, but if that's something that the Bulls, and I'll throw this to you guys, if the Bulls can trade Alex Caruso and Zach LaVine for the number 5 overall pick, is that enough? Do you want a Jaden Ivey? Do you want something else to sweeten the pot? It's one of those trades that I look at and say, well, if the Bulls did it, okay. But at the same time, I'm still looking at it and saying, we need a little bit more, right? Or that's a lot to give up for a 5th overall pick in a weaker draft. It'd be different if it was a 5th overall pick in maybe even a moderately deep draft, not like one of the super deep drafts, but a moderately deep draft. This is looked at as a weaker draft, even though I still think a lot of really good talent is going to come out of this draft. But because of that, you got to ask yourself the question, is this the best allocation of assets, especially using an Alex Caruso in a deal like this, when we know that Alex Caruso probably has the best trade value of any Chicago Bull currently on the roster? So we'll see what happens with that. I do think that the Pistons could be a partner. The new GM kind of raises some questions. If it was the same guy, I would probably be higher on them being a partner. But it just depends on if the Bulls see this and if they want to go younger. Getting 2 lottery picks in a draft like this is saying that you are going extremely younger. And to me at that point, I guess if you're keeping DeMar DeRozan as kind of the veteran leadership aspect of it, but to me at that point, it'd be best to let DeMar go too, in my personal opinion. Not expecting everyone to agree with that, but you guys can let me know what you guys think on that down below. But before we get into the mailbag, I just want to touch on it. So we saw another video of Alonzo Ball dunking, and the mindset still stays the same on it. You can send me all the videos of you dunking in the gym with no contact and things like that. I'm waiting for Alonzo Ball to be cleared. Get cleared, then let's be off to the races, and that's what we'll talk about. Until then, it's just noise to me. And, I hope that Lonzo is ready. I hope that he does have a recovery. Hell, I even hope that he makes a comeback. Those things are still highly unlikely for them all to happen for me. But if they were to happen, great. Hats off to Lonzo's. Lonzo deserves another go at it. And let's hope that he can get it. But all these dunking, that's why I didn't even post it to the shorts this time. It's just like, all right, cool. You dunked in the gym. I need to see contact. Are you ready for training camp? That's more so things that I'm ready to hear when it comes to Lonzo Ball than all this noise, personally. But you guys can let me know what you think down below. All right, let's go ahead and get into the voicemail bag for today. We got 2 voicemails that kind of left over from the weekend. This one's from TJ.
Yo, what's up, Haize? It's TJ again. I had just watched the video and shit, but, yeah, I agree with everything you said, wholeheartedly, I swear. I also believe that the Zach LaVine era was 100% a failure. They didn't accomplish what they were trying to do with their team in the grand scheme of things. They wanted to make that team competitive. They wanted their young players to come up and, be the it factors, but they weren't. And I see that. I know that. Like, I was not under the illusion that they was actually doing some shit. I'm just saying that they had reinvigorated my love for the Bulls because I was really like, what really did it was the Jimmy, D-Wade, Rondo. I had hope for that. Then they had bowed out and they was just way worse than I thought they was. And then I was really out on the Bulls. I was over it. And then Zach LaVine came when Jimmy was traded. And that shit just made me happy. I was like, okay, I get that Jimmy cold, but he don't want to be here. And if he don't want to be here, he ain't going to play like he can. So I was at least happy that someone who seemed like they wanted to be there came to the team. And he seemed like he was willing to put forth everything. That's all it took for me. And you are right to an extent on the fact that they didn't accomplish anything. But what I can say is I feel like if you truly feel like they didn't accomplish like anything, you just kind of got to change your perspective of it. I feel like you might be looking too much at the big scope. I feel like they might have accomplished the small things as in they did kind of, I don't even know how to describe this through, but I'm thinking just from my point of view, I know they accomplished reinvigorating my love for the game. So I'm sure there are at least a couple other hundred and thousands of fans that also feel the same way. Like, they were down and out on the Bulls once they seen that the Rondo and the D-Wade Bulls did not work out after Rondo got injured in the playoffs. And the Zach LaVine trade probably gave them a little bit of hope. So I feel like they did at least accomplish the fact of trying to give us hope. Now, we see where the hope led us. Like, it led us to this dark pit of despair, but we can just look at the positive for now. I'm just trying to keep positive, especially since the draft is coming. So I got high hopes for that shit too. I just hope it's not. I hope they just do right, like you been saying. They just need to hit. And I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said about how bad that team is. Because trust me, bro. Trust me. I was in high school and that was rough times. Them was rough times having to get off of school and watch the Bulls be bad after a long ass day at school and track.
I hear you on the 3 alpha season. I do think that when you make a change, it always kind of reinvigorates to it. So I agree with you that it did reinvigorate a lot of things, for after the trade for Zach LaVine, because it seemed like the Bulls were doing something different. And then even Laurie, that rookie season, Laurie looked really good. So yeah, I think it accomplished that as far as reinvigorating it. But I think that always kind of happens when you are clearly going to a new phase. It's how you sustain that. And I don't think the Bulls did a really good job at sustaining it. But especially like you said, you were coming out of high school, things like that. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't say the Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandler Bulls had me reinvigorated around, when I was in high school and stuff like that. So I completely understand it. And, maybe I am looking at it too far from a top-down level in the big picture. But in the small picture, yeah, it definitely changed some things for how the Bulls were viewed at that time. I just don't think that they sustained it because, 3 years later, the front office is out of here and we got a billboard up saying fire guard packs. But, not to say that that's all, the end-all, be-all of it. I just think that when you do make a trade and a change of direction, naturally it's going to get a few more eyes to say, all right, what are they doing over there? Are they going to be able to accomplish this? But then how you actually make that next step after that and sustain that, that's the important part of it, at least to me. But I can't take away from it changing anybody's excitement. Like, I think, for example, this offseason, if the Bulls do find a way to move on from DeMar and Zach LaVine, it's going to reinvigorate a lot of Bulls fans that were just tired of the stagnation. They're going to come back and be like, all right, what we doing? Who are these young guys that we got? Are they players? Is Kobe going to ball out now that those guys are gone? So I understand that. And sometimes sitting in this chair on this side of things, I guess I can't look at it too much of the big picture. So all fair points, TJ. Thank you for leaving that voicemail. Let's get into the next one. This one's from Corn.
Hey, what's the word, King? It's Corn, man. First of all, I want to say, because I know it's now, happy Father's Day to you, King. Happy Father's Day to you. And to all the fathers of Bulls Nation, man. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers of Bulls Nation. Happy Father's Day to you, King. I know it's an exciting time for you, what you're doing with your son and all that, man. God bless you, man. You are a wonderful father, man. Keep on being that, man. We need more black men like you. Now, we got the pleasantries out the way. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. This is my last time talking about my guy, Zach motherfucking E. That's how you gotta say it. You just can't say Zachy. You gotta say Zach motherfucking E. Cause he's that motherfucking dude. Now, even though Marcus was jealous, I want him more. Please don't think I don't want Zach Edey. If I could get both of them, oh my God. I'll be a happy man. Now let's talk about Zach Haize, all right? His intangibles is off the fucking register. His intangibles, his 7'4", 7'10", 7'11" wingspan, his IQ is elite already. And I'm not talking about offensively either. Let's, because we know the post moves he got. We know all that. I'm talking about him defensively. Yeah, he's going to be slower than the most, but he worked harder than the rest. That's how much faith I have in that kid, man. I know he's going to work hard. I know it's going to be the best version, and I know most than likely we're not going to get him. Most than likely he might be the number 8 pick to San Antonio to pair up with Wendy. That's what my draft got him at, number 8, man. The kid is going to be something special. And this is how much faith I got in that motherfucking Haize. I bet my bottom dollar. Alexander Czar, whoever the fuck, even the guy I love over him, I guarantee it. I'm saying it right now. Mark it. Zach Haize will be Rookie of the Year. Mark it. I said it first. Zach motherfucking Haize. Wherever he goes, I'm gonna be a fan. I'm gonna buy his jersey. You know that. You know I'm just a fan of Zach Haize. It don't matter if he be a Bull or not. I'm gonna always follow that kid. He will be Rookie of the Year. Love you, kids. Happy Father's Day to you, man. Have a great Father's Day.
All right, Corn. Listen, I'm glad that you said this is your last one, bro. Because listen, you know you finna catch these jokes, right? The glaze on Zach Haize has got to stop from you, brother. Like the glaze is it's going deep there, brother. It's deep. And matter of fact, all I heard throughout most of your voicemail was this.
I sure appreciate you calling.
Yo, sure Lou. I am holler at you.
Yeah, everything good?
Yo, everything good. Everything up in here.
You feeling the music and everything?
Yeah, feeling the music, but, feeling the music. Wish I played a little Gucci Mane, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, you know what I'm saying? Y'all
so you like the music, but you don't like the fact that we playing goo-wop.
Now, y'all ain't playing no Gucci Mane. I really wish y'all throw about 2-3 Gucci Mane songs.
We can't play Gucci.
You know what I'm saying? Just mixing in there, you know what I'm saying?
Man, we taking over for Tom Jones. We can't play goo-wop.
Yeah, I feel
they won't let us play goo-wop. We play Montel Jordan and the Wilsons, but we can't play goo-wop.
Yeah, but you can play one Gucci song, no just one.
No, don't cry, bro.
Just one Gucci song ain't gonna kill nobody.
Which song by goo-wop you want us to play?
Shawty, you act like you gonna get fired or something. Y'all play one Gucci song, that's all.
No, we in a different demographic, man. We taking over for Tom, so we can't play. No, get out your feelings, bro. You love goo-wop like that, mate. You start crying because we ain't playing Gucci Mane.
Because it's a new year and everything, so
let it out, dog.
I just need some goo-wop in my life, so.
Yeah, we can't play goo-wop this morning, bro. Paul.
I gotta throw some fun to my brother Corn. Shout out to Corn, man. That's one of the biggest supporters of the channel, the biggest supporters of me. I hope to be able to meet Corn in person sometimes, but I'm glad you're coming to the realization that Zach Haize is not going to be a Chicago Bull. But actually, I have a wager for you on this one, Corn. I'm going to say this. You said that Zach Haize could be Rookie of the Year. Here's what I'm going to say to you on this. Let's have a wager. If Zach Haize becomes Rookie of the Year, I will buy you any piece of Bulls merch that you want, $100 or cheaper. But we're going to take a little bit further. If he's even finishes in top 3 of Rookie of the Year voting, I will get you a piece of Bulls merch, $30 or cheaper. Here's the next bet of this. If he does not win Rookie of the Year and does not finish top 3 in voting, I'm going to need you to wear a shirt with my face on it that says Haize was right. That's it. Let me know if you accept the terms. Do you accept the terms? Let me know. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.